tonight, parked in the garage where they thought their vehicles would be safe and protected.
It's just a big headache, and Homestead just doesn't seem to care.
Now a mysterious substance has damaged their cars, and they're waiting for answers. The aftermath of a fire that tore through a Glebe home on the weekend.
The cause is going to remain undetermined because of the severe damage.
A family and others displaced, several homes damaged. Firefighters had to launch an aggressive attack to contain what officials now confirm was a fire that started in the garage. And a tragedy of epic proportions. The death toll continues to grow.
As of yesterday, the confirmed death toll was 82, and those numbers are continuing to go up.
After a Texas river surged over its banks, water rising meters in minutes. A summer camp and numerous families devastated, and potential political fallout south of the border. Good evening. We begin tonight with frustration for residents of a West End apartment building who are dealing with an unexpected and expensive mess. Several vehicles have been covered in a residue as a result of a leaky ceiling in the underground parking garage. Their building is located on McWaters Road near Baseline and Greenbank. CTV's Katie Griffin is here with the details on this. Katie.
Well, Patricia, residents say they didn't get any notice to move their vehicles, and while they've been told to go through their insurance, they feel they shouldn't have to pay for the repairs.
It was leaking all up in here.
Russ Lecomte still dealing with the mess. White residue on his vehicle that won't come off.
It's still leaking. They're getting people to go and give them other parking spots, but even those spots are leaking. So I don't know. It's just a big headache.
For weeks, water has been leaking into this underground parking garage at an apartment building on McWaters Road. Several vehicles have been damaged. Residents believe construction is to blame.
Well, they've taken all of the asphalt off between the two buildings, and they shouldn't have done that. As a result, the water is going through the limestone, and it's being deposited on our vehicles, and it's corrosive.
It's embedded in the paint, and that's why the estimate is $10,350.
The building's management company told Susan Given Hill to go through insurance. She says she's not covered for something like this.
They write off the car, then I have to buy a new car. I do not want it written off. I want Homestead to take responsibility and pay for the damage on my car.
Homestead Land Holdings Limited did not answer specific questions when contacted by CTV News. Writing in a statement, it's working directly with impacted residents in order to resolve the matter promptly. Not adequate enough for many.
I lose no claim bonus, so my insurance is for sure going up. So who is going to deal with all those consequences that I was not even responsible for?
And these residents say more than a dozen vehicles are impacted. Patricia?
And you know they're frustrated when they'll talk to you in the pouring rain like that, Katie. Thank you so much for this.
You're welcome.
CTV's Katie Griffin live for us tonight. We do have extended coverage of the vehicles damaged in that apartment parking garage. There are more stories online at ctvnewsottawa.ca. Well, nearly a dozen people are displaced, including a family, after a massive fire in the Glebe over the weekend. The flames tearing through one home and spreading to others, causing tens of thousands of dollars in damage. The fire broke out on 4th Avenue near Lyon Street around 10:30 Saturday night. CTV's Camille Wilson joins us now with the latest on this, Camille.
Yes, Patricia, Ottawa Fire Services say the blaze started in the garage before quickly spreading to neighboring homes. A burning smell still lingers in the air where a fire broke out in the Glebe Saturday night.
Firefighters going up and down and in and out, and a lot of stress.
Lori McLean was on a walk with her daughter when they saw smoke and massive flames.
It's so sad to see, like, oh my God, like their life just went up in flames.
The fire started in a single-family home. When firefighters arrived on scene, it had already spread to 4 neighboring semi-detached homes, a large tree, and multiple outdoor decks.
I turn a corner around the 5th area, and boom, I see this fire that's like even taller than the houses around it. It's crazy. You can feel the heat from over where Muchmore is, but it was ridiculous and like obviously terrifying because I live really close.
A mom, dad, and 2 boys lived in the home where the fire started and are now displaced along with 8 others. Fire crews are saying they had the fire under control within half an hour, but it was an aggressive fire attack, and they had to deal with several hazards, including live hydro lines and propane tanks.
There was a garage over this. That's again where the fire started.
Ottawa Fire Services confirming the massive blaze started in the garage.
The origin was determined to be the garage, but the cause is going to remain undetermined because the severe damage that didn't make it possible for investigators to reconstruct the scene. Unless new evidence comes to light, then this will remain undetermined at this time.
Liberal MP Yasir Naqvi visited the home, sharing these photos he took of the scene, writing the damage is a reminder of how much we need one another in difficult times. It's still not known when those displaced will be able to return home.
Life is just so fleeting, and we can't be sure of anything, and just enjoy every day and enjoy your friends and your home as much as you can, because you don't know when it's going to leave.
While there is extensive damage in the home, no word yet on when everybody will be able to get back in. Patricia.
All right, CTV's Camille Wilson live for us tonight. Thank you. Well, turning now to Texas, where deadly flooding has claimed nearly 100 lives. The desperate search for victims continues this hour, but there are new weather warnings threatening the efforts and possibly putting more people at risk. CTV's Stephen Keys joins us now live with the latest. Steph.
Patricia, the death toll continues to climb. At least 95 people have died, including 27 campers and counselors at an all-girls summer camp. Hearts are breaking for the stories coming from this tragedy. Meteorologists say 4 months of rain fell in just hours on July 4th, causing devastating flash flooding. This time-lapse video showing just how quickly floodwaters rose. In some areas, the Guadalupe River rose nearly 10 meters, and while families have been reeling since the devastation started on America's Independence weekend, questions are starting to surface now. People asking about weather warnings and why some summer camps did not evacuate ahead of the catastrophe. Today, authorities said they will wait to address those questions.
I've lost near friends, best friends, my boss, my godchildren, my house, my car, you know, all those materialistic things, but it's those people that still haven't been found, some of them. Just praying for their recovery.
Rescue teams are facing treacherous conditions as they try to find survivors and recover the bodies of those who passed away. Water levels remain high. Some teams are going out on boats, navigating downed trees, snakes, and debris. Again, the persistent question is around warnings, why they weren't sent out with enough time for victims to escape. One mayor suggested making the calls are tough because you don't want to be accused of crying wolf. But as the old saying goes, better safe than sorry, and there may be a lot of officials feeling sad and sorry tonight, Patricia.
CTV's Stephen Keys live for us tonight. And stay with CTV News for continuing coverage of that deadly flash flooding in Texas. For updates on radio, tune into News Talk 580 CFRA and CTV News Channel at any hour. Still ahead, we wait all year for July weather, but is this what you pictured? Up and down on the thermometer, lots of humidity and a downpour today. Or is this just summer? That story coming up. Well, not loving this weather today, but at least it comes on a Monday. Lots of rain out there through the day. And as we take a look through our Centennial Glass Skycam, it's a cool one as well. Just 19 degrees out there right now. Jackie joins us with our first look at weather. There were some watches, warnings. What's the situation right now? Are we kind of through the worst of this rain here today?
I mean, the short answer is yes, and that's the good news, right? Because earlier this afternoon, lots of watches and warnings in place, especially for Kempville and North Grenville area, that there was a tornado warning and watch at some point, but it has since lifted. So this is a weather system that we are tracking. It is sticking around closer along the seaway now, so a severe thunderstorm watch is still in place. But we did mention that not just the tornado warning was in place for parts of eastern Ontario, but even for parts of here in Ottawa, as well as Smiths Falls and Brockville, a severe thunderstorming was in effect. It has since subsided, so we are keeping a close eye on this. But the good news is it's expected to clear out later this evening. Temperatures around the region here in Ottawa sitting at around 19, as we mentioned, 26 and 28, so much warmer by Lake Ontario. And then as we look towards Montreal as well as Montreal, temperatures sitting in the mid-teens. So very cool considering the humid and hot conditions that we had over the last few days. For the next 24 hours, we are expecting the clouds to remain, but again, it's going to be drier. Daytime high 25 degrees for our Tuesday. As we look towards the midweek, yes, precipitation will return, so we are keeping a close eye on that. We will have those details and when we could get the next time of sunshine and warm weather here in the capital. Patricia.
All right, thank you, Jackie. Well, a water main break led to the partial collapse of a driveway in the city's West End. City crews were called to McEwen Avenue around noon. It appears that part of the driveway and road in front of a residential street buckled and sunk in, leaving a significant hole and damage along the roadway. The city says residents in the building may experience interruptions in water services this evening, and road closures in the area are still in effect. Well, Ottawa Carleton District School Board trustees have been locked out of their emails a little more than a week after the province announced it was taking over. CTV's Caitlin Wilson joins us live now with more on this. Caitlin.
Patricia, after 4 straight deficit budgets, the province announced it was taking over the board at the end of June and appointing a supervisor. Now trustees have no access to their emails, essentially cut off. The province says the move is aimed at correcting ongoing financial mismanagement, but critics are questioning the timing. Trustees had approved a plan to balance the 2025-2026 budget, which included $18 million in spending cuts. Staff also told trustees the board was exploring long-term savings by selling vacant buildings and possibly cutting some adult high school and special education programs. Now, with trustees locked out of their email accounts, they've lost communication with hundreds of families.
The fact that now they're moving in with a conservative insider who really has absolutely no background in education to take over a duly elected board just really makes no sense. It cannot be described as anything but a power grab by this government.
To discuss there. According to the Ministry of Education, the supervisor has full authority over the board's governance, including budgets, policies, and operations. In a statement, trustee Donna Blackburn says, "I look forward to meeting with the supervisor if he wishes to meet with me and assist in any way he deems appropriate." It's unclear when or if the province will reinstate the OCDSB Board of Trustees. Patricia?
CTV's Caitlin Wilson live for us tonight. Thank you. Well, police are looking for help tonight, identifying a suspect after a stabbing at the Bruce Pit Dog Park yesterday. Officers were called to the main path around 2:50 in the afternoon. Police say the victim stopped to smoke when he was approached by an unknown man who asked to share his cannabis. When the victim refused, the suspect allegedly stabbed him in the leg and fled. The suspect is described as an Indigenous man between 50 and 60 years old with long hair and a beard. He was wearing a Blink 182 sweatshirt at the time. Police are looking for witnesses after an alleged assault on Rideau Street last month. Police say the victim was denied entry into an establishment by the suspect around 1 a.m. on June 22nd. Police say the suspect assaulted the victim, who suffered multiple lacerations to their face. A motorcyclist is in hospital with serious injuries after a crash near Cornwall. Police were called to a stretch of County Road 2 near Brodeur Road in the Camerons Point area around 9 o'clock last night. Officers found the motorcycle driver, a 23-year-old man from Quebec, in a ditch. Witnesses reported a black Honda Civic or Accord driving erratically in the area at the time. Police say it's not known if that car was involved in the crash. Anyone with information is asked to contact Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry OPP. Police are asking for help locating a truck and trailer stolen from the Ingleside area over the weekend. OPP say the theft happened around 9:15 Saturday night. The truck is a 2016 Frontliner with a Koenig Logistics logo, and the trailer is a 2020 model with an Ontario plate. The premiers of Ontario and Alberta signing a memorandum today to boost trade and cooperation. But as more interprovincial trade barriers come down, there's some skepticism over whether these agreements are the answer. CTV's Rachel Aiello reports.
Free trade being one within all the provinces that will add over $200 billion to our economy.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford touting the potential of Canada-wide free trade after signing new agreements with Alberta to advance energy infrastructure and support the automotive and alcohol manufacturing sectors.
Today's signing marks an historic partnership founded in a mutual ambition to reach the full potential of our provinces.
This deal is the latest in a series of policy moves made in recent months to try and limit the damage caused by U.S. President Donald Trump's trade war by breaking down interprovincial trade barriers. Though a new report out today from a left-leaning think tank argues that the notion that resolving such issues could lead to more than $200 billion in economic gains is pure fantasy. One of its authors cautions the cost of cutting this red tape could result in a race to the bottom for safety and service standards.
I think Canadians need to be wary, and they need to be cautious anytime they see a government saying they're doing something to respond to a national emergency, right?
Meanwhile, one of the authors of the report where the $200 billion estimate originated acknowledged politicians have overstated his estimate.
It's also an estimate that we put forward that represents the maximum possible gains from fully eliminating all of the internal trade barriers in Canada, which so far no government has put anything on the table to actually achieve that objective.
Today, Internal Trade Minister Chrystia Freeland's office said the federal government knows there's more work to do. And that work will continue tomorrow when the ministers responsible for internal trade from each province and territory meet in Quebec City. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Well, President Donald Trump is starting to send letters to foreign governments threatening to impose tariffs on countries that do not make trade deals with the U.S.
They will take the letters seriously because they have taken the president seriously. And that's why the president's phone, I can tell you, rings off the hook from world leaders all the time who are begging him to come to a deal.
Trump posting on social media the letters sent to both Japan and South Korea, which say 25% tariffs on goods imported from both countries will come into effect on August 1st. Canada is still trying to get a new trade deal done by July 21st. Well, it's not just a big city problem. In Brockville, as in Ottawa, increasing numbers are forced to rely on the region's food bank to put food on the table for their families. The situation now so bad, it has prompted City Council in Brockville to declare a food insecurity emergency. CTV's Jack Richardson reports.
Because these are all stuff that's purchased.
Amanda Petch has been the general manager of the Brockville and area food bank since 2023, and since then, demand has only grown.
When I first started, it was 1 in 24 people, and now it's 1 in 13 that are using the food bank in this area, and it's just continuing to grow.
That's why the city of Brockville has become the latest Eastern Ontario municipality to declare food insecurity an emergency, calling on upper levels of government to take action.
We're trying to highlight that food insecurity is something that people in our community face every day. This is a critical issue, and it's certainly reached, I would say, an emergency level.
The average monthly visits to the Brockville Food Bank have nearly doubled in the last 2 years, from about 1,100 to about 2,000. Officials citing cost of living as the main reason.
We can't continue on this way. Charities are not the ones who are supposed to be filling that gap.
The food bank has been forced to expand its hours of service due to the skyrocketing demand, but not just because of the demand itself. It's to cater to the schedules of the new clients the food bank is seeing. According to Petch, more people with full-time jobs are making regular visits to the food bank.
That's something that we're seeing more of. People who are working who can't make ends meet because rent has gone up or bills and things like that have gone up. What it basically comes down to is that we need support, because by the time someone's coming into the food bank, they've probably skipped a meal or two.
In January, the city of Kingston declared a food insecurity emergency, and the town of Smiths Falls did in May. Jack Richardson, CTV News, Brockville.
Canadian country superstar Shania Twain is making a major donation ahead of her appearance at Ottawa Blues Fest this weekend.
Okay, so you're a rocket scientist. That don't impress me much.
But this may impress you. Twain donating $25,000 through the Shania Twain Foundation to Second Harvest. The donation will help the organization redistribute 75,000 meals using unsold surplus food from grocery stores.
We're incredibly grateful to the Shania Twain Foundation. Like, this is going to have a big impact, you know, on the community, and especially in the city of Ottawa. This donation will have direct impact on helping us rescue and distribute surplus food to not-for-profit organizations in the city.
Second Harvest partners with 70 nonprofit partners across Ottawa, including food banks and shelters. Twain will perform at Ottawa Blues Fest on Sunday, and the festival gets underway with Lainey Wilson on Thursday night. Well, coming up, it is rainy and muggy to start off July. How is all of that impacting businesses that rely on good summer weather? That story just ahead as we talk about the good summer weather, Jackie, or the lack thereof today.
Well, Patricia, the good news is we'll have a break in the rainy weather tonight and into tomorrow. But the thing is, by midweek, more precipitation could return to the region. For now, let's take a live look through our Centennial Glass Sky Cam. It is about 19 degrees out. Light rain shower, not just here in downtown, but for most parts of Ottawa. We'll have more on this after the break.
Ottawa is my home, and like many of you, I've always turned to CTV News for the latest local news. We cover the local stories that matter to you.
Live, local, breaking CTV News with Patricia Bowl.
Taking a look at the roads on your Monday drive home, a little lighter than typical. Certainly we're into the summer weeks, and Monday usually a slightly better day. That said, a lot of people not on the bike today because of that rain out there, maybe choosing alternate transportation. Well, we wait all year for summer, picturing those perfect blue sky, warm, sunny days that beckon you outside. But so far this July, it's more of a pick your poison, hot and humid, cool, or like today, very, very wet. CTV's Josh Moreno on a summer that has yet to hit its peak.
From extreme heat to thunderstorms, it hasn't been the ideal start to July for many residents in the capital.
If it's not raining, then it's too hot. If it's too hot, it's just pouring rain, so it's really tough to find that happy medium.
The inconsistent weather also means fewer patio goers at some restaurants.
It's just so hard to predict that, you know, you have days where they're calling for rain all day, and then it ends up being actually half decent. But, you know, people have already kind of made their plans based on the forecast.
After a weekend of hot and muggy weather, intermittent downpours on Monday as storms moved across the region, and more rain is in the forecast this week.
Every year is going to be different. Some years we get a high pressure system. That's what helps inhibit that rainfall as much as possible. So we haven't had a long stretch of that high pressure keeping those thunderstorms at bay for the Ottawa area.
According to Environment Canada, summer weather is harder to predict, with moisture on humid days the leading cause of pop-up thunderstorms.
We can have one or two or more days of these really high temperatures, really high humidity. And then once a new air mass is able to make its way through, that's what helps trigger those thunderstorms, giving those torrential downpours.
But for some, the rain has its perks.
I'm saving on watering my garden. My water bills will be less.
At the King Eddie, they're optimistic about the rest of patio season.
What we've seen is that summer tends to really extend into September, October these days. So hopefully on that end of the summer, we'll have more patio days than we did, so far.
Josh Moreno, CTV News.
I need the garden to appreciate the rainy days, and it certainly was a rainy day in the capital today, starting early this morning and really coming down hard at times. A few thunderstorms throughout the day as well. There were some weather watches in place in our region, including a thunderstorm watch here in Ottawa. A tornado warning was briefly in effect for Kemptville, Merrickville, and other nearby communities this afternoon. Those have since been lifted, but yeah, a lot of umbrellas out there for sure. Not just the light showers that you can dodge. It was really, really coming down. And the puddles, I could not believe actually on the road this morning, Jackie, as I was driving and I was going through sort of Little Italy area in Preston, it just immediately seemed that you were going through those huge puddles, and anyone coming the other way was kind of spraying some of that rain right on the windshield.
As I was walking to work, I must got caught in some of those cars driving by and getting splashed by the puddle. So you really wanted to avoid
hug the inside of the sidewalk. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you mentioned it, right? There were a lot of watches and warnings in place. Ottawa here in the capital, rather, we saw between 15 to 25 millimeters of rain. We are tracking the weather system. It is making its way quickly towards the eastern part of the country. But as mentioned, there is still a severe thunderstorm watch in place for, it's really cornering or hovering around the seaway. So areas like Kingston, Brockville, and Cornwall, we are still keeping a close eye where there could be a potential for some isolated pop-up thunderstorms, and that's expected to remain in place until about 7, 8 o'clock this evening. As for here in Ottawa, temperatures right now sitting about 19 degrees. There is a little bit of light rain outside and still a risk of some thunderstorms. But again, by the overnight hours, the clouds are going to roll in and really push the system out of the way. So overnight lows 18 degrees, northeasterly winds at 10 kilometers per hour. As we look towards tomorrow, it'll be much drier, no rain expected for the forecast, 25 degrees the daytime high, and very much tonight's lows really maintaining the cool conditions, mid-teens. So 16 here in Ottawa, 17 in Brockville as well as Kingston. Overnight, though, parts of the Seaway could see a little bit of the rain showers, but again, for much of the region, we are looking at partly cloudy or mostly cloudy conditions that will take us into tomorrow. Well, we won't see much of the sunshine. 26 degrees around the region is what we are expecting. So it is maintaining that we are going to sit in the mid-teens, but much cooler than what we saw from the last couple of days. Humidity not really sticking around. So this is a storm that we saw make its way through the region here on Monday, quickly moving through into the evening. And then by Tuesday, you can see this clear conditions that will take us not just for Tuesday, but also into Wednesday. But then by Wednesday afternoon, we could see a chance of some scattered showers as well. As we look across the country right now, temperatures in Atlantic Canada sitting between 23 and 20 degrees. There's also severe thunderstorm watch in effect for Fredericton. And so you can already see the system making its way towards the Atlantic. Meanwhile, Windsor, Toronto, temperatures are clearer in terms of conditions wise, but temperatures 26. So Toronto pretty warm. As well as when we look towards the Midwest, we can see that there is some active weather, especially around Saskatchewan, where there is rainfalls, even in Winnipeg, 21, 20 degrees. And keeping an eye out for those who are heading to the Stampede, 23 degrees and sunny and with a little bit of some cloud conditions as well. Now, the 7-day forecast is brought to you by Davidson Hearing Aid Centers, celebrating over 80 years in family business. So Tuesday, cloudy conditions. We may see a little bit of some sunshine in the evening, 26 the daytime high. Wednesday, 30% scattered showers, 27 for the daytime high, not just for Wednesday, but into Thursday. So we are sitting around seasonal this time of year. Our nicest day, as I predicted last week, will be Friday, 29 our daytime high and sunshine, but we are in for a bit of a cloudy, gloomy week, Patricia.
A good day for a patio on Friday, but we're looking for one of those weeks where it's just golden globes across the board, right?
Would love to see it soon.
All right, good stuff, Jackie. Thank you. Well, just ahead, we meet Ottawa's Erica Hoffman, a race car driver from Barrhaven, making history on the track.
Tonight, navigating a cruise industry boom.
Now we're into like a ship almost every day. The hotel travels with us, so to speak.
What's making people jump on board as maritime sailing season hits full steam? Later on CTV National News.
Get the latest live local breaking news. Sign up now for our morning and evening CTV News Ottawa newsletter. The best local content from CTV News, CTV Morning Live, and News Talk 580 CFRA. Get it all in one place. Sign up now at ctvnewsottawa.ca. The CTV News Ottawa newsletter is brought to you in part by CAA Business. CTV News community and weather anchor Jackie Perez. Weeknights.
Well, Ottawa's own Erica Hoffman has gone from the streets of Barrhaven to driving some of the best race tracks in the world. The self-made race car driver is now one of the fastest in Canada, racing on a prestigious women's team. And she has her foot planted to the floor, hoping to go even further. Here's CTV's Dylan Dyson.
The main thing in a race car is you want to look as far ahead as you can. Growing up in Barrhaven, life just didn't move fast enough for Erica Hoffman.
As I got older, I got my driver's license and I was driving down the road and I was like, well, this isn't cutting it. I want to actually drive.
That's when she took her white Subaru in search of open asphalt.
I started racing in 2019 here at Calabogie Motorsports Park. So I started by taking my own car, which is the street version of this car that I'm sitting on.
After hours of doing laps at Canada's longest racetrack, Hoffman saw her biggest checkered flag to date.
In 2022, I kind of got my big break, so I entered this international driver search competition, and there was 1,000 drivers from 35 countries, and then I got to the top 10, and I was like, oh my gosh, I could actually do this thing, and I placed first overall, won a seat racing a McLaren GT4 car in Europe, immediately moved to England within 2 weeks, and was on grid for my first official race, racing in the UK's GT Cup.
Now at 28 years old, Hoffman has become the only Canadian driver on the Porsche Mobil 1 female race team, and is also the co-founder of Slate Racing, an all-female Canadian racing team.
Whenever I'm in the paddock and I'm like looking at my Porsche and I'm like, that's my car, and being on the podium, just everything has been so surreal to actually get to experience it.
Getting behind the wheel, Hoffman proves your brain needs to be just as fast as your car.
Keep this gas on through the corner and now let it track to the right side so you're not getting pinched. Over more to the right, touch the brakes, look up your corner, good.
Hoffman currently sits third in her division's championship standings with 4 races left on the calendar.
My goal for next season will be to race the GT3 Cup car, just keep moving up within the ranks, and then eventually do Carrera Cup, and then IMSA is the long-term goal.
Dylan Dyson, CTV News, Calabogie.
I'd have been breaking the whole time. Now some other stories you need to know right now. A search and rescue team is helping keep people safe along the St. Lawrence River. CTV's Stephen Keys joins us now with the details on this and other stories. Steph?
Patricia, after recent drownings here in Ottawa and Eastern Ontario, water safety is becoming a main focus for many, and the Iroquois Marine Search and Rescue Unit said it is now ready to respond to emergencies.
Any kind of emergency that you can think on the water, we will respond to. It's basically we're Coast Guard Auxiliary saving lives on the water.
The unit is run by volunteers who are trained to respond to situations involving boaters and swimmers in distress. Before this search and rescue team was formed, the nearest Coast Guard was nearly 100 kilometers away. On Friday, a 1-year-old girl drowned in the St. Lawrence River on Wolfe Island. The Ottawa Police Service is reporting increased rates of violence against women across the city. Between January and June this year, there were more than 3,500 reports of intimate partner violence. That's up from 3,200 in 2024, a 9% increase. Cardish Health Food Centre is closing all of its locations after nearly 5 decades in business. The Ottawa-based health food retailer says changes in consumer behavior and increased competition have made its business model unsustainable. The retailer has already closed most of its locations and will soon shut down the remaining 2 stores on Merivale Road and Innis Road. There will be discounts and special offers until all inventory is gone. The first ever CHEO Charity Golf Classic was unfortunately rained out today. The event, hosted by the CHEO Foundation and the Royal Ottawa Golf Club, has a goal of raising $1 million over 3 years for the Children's Hospital. But because of the heavy rain, organizers were forced to postpone the inaugural tournament. It has been rescheduled to September 15. The country's top Highland dancers are here in Ottawa for the Scott Dance Canada Championship Series. The event is taking place at Rogers Centre, Ottawa. More than 1,000 dancers are competing for 7 championship titles. The competition runs until Wednesday. And after more than 100 years of production, Jersey milk chocolate bars are being discontinued. The bars were first developed by dairy brand William Nielsen in 1924 and were only produced here in Canada. but production fell under Mondelez International after a series of acquisitions. The company says the decision to drop the Jersey Milk Bar was the result of decreased demand, with consumers preferring other pure milk chocolate bars. The company is confirming the move will not result in any job losses, Patricia, but a fan favorite for some now disappearing.
Okay for them, no job losses, but not so good for, it's actually one of my favorites.
It's very good.
I was kind of hoping you were going to pull one out of your pocket as you were walking over.
Next time.
I went looking, and I can understand why the demand has decreased, because the bars are not really readily available. I checked Giant Tiger across the street. A couple other places could not find a delightful Jersey Milk bar. So.
And you used to get them at Halloween too, just in little squares.
Nice, thin
nice thin.
Nice way they snap off. So
exactly. I'm gonna miss it.
We're gonna find one. Thanks, Steph.
It's been very upsetting and scary.
Just ahead, you have to be careful about who you choose for home renovations. A Toronto couple hired a company for a roofing job, which ballooned to almost $500,000 in costs.
You're watching CTV News with Patricia Boll.
Well, police across the province are warning people to be careful of contractors going door to door offering services for roofing jobs and other home renovations. One Toronto couple hired a contractor working in their neighborhood for a roof repair and ended up paying almost $500,000. CTV's Pat Foran reports.
It's been very upsetting and scary.
Angelique Davies and Frank Novello are still in shock after being pressured into paying for renovations that will have to be done over again, as well as some work that wasn't needed at all. They have an older home in Toronto and did have leaks in their roof that needed to be repaired. Novello had previously chatted with contractors he had seen in the neighborhood.
This fellow in a pickup truck recognized me, and he knew my first name, Frank. And he gave me a brochure.
The couple asked the company to check their roof in December of last year. The contractor claimed when he saw it, it was a disaster waiting to happen.
The condition of the roof was so terrible that it was going to cave in. They had us feeling very frightened.
They ripped the roof off, leaving their home exposed to the elements. At one point, there were 20 different leaks. The workers then claimed there were other serious problems.
Oh no, there's something wrong with the walls, and these walls will not hold up a new roof, so we have to fix that.
The company also created huge electrical issues in their home and also tried to convince them they needed major foundation work. Over a period of less than 2 months, the couple paid the contractor $480,000. When you look back on the fact that it's $480,000, how do you feel about that big number?
It's breathtaking.
The company they signed a contract with is Thompson Roofing and Construction. Their phone number is no longer in service. Emails from CTV News were not returned, and the address on their website is incomplete. The couple says it hasn't heard from the company in 6 months, and work that was done will have to be ripped up and done again by another contractor.
Rain and melting snow came pouring through.
But has this been repaired after paying all this money?
This has not been repaired yet.
The couple is hopeful they can get back some of their money somehow, but also wanted to share their story to warn others.
I feel frustrated. I'm mad at myself for trusting them.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
Investors were rattled today by a renewed threat from U.S. President Donald Trump to apply tariffs on a slew of nations if they do not agree to trade deals. BNN Bloomberg's Andrew Bell has the details.
Hello there. Canadian and U.S. stocks slipped today from those record highs that they hit on Friday. That's after U.S. President Donald Trump threatened to slap import levies of up to 40% on nations including South Africa, Serbia, and Myanmar. Trump said Japan and South Korea, which are major trading partners of the U.S., face tariffs of 25% beginning August 1st. Auto imports are central to trade tensions with those two countries, the BBC said, and shares in Toyota and Honda fell about 2%. So far, Trump has announced framework agreements with the United Kingdom and Vietnam and a trade truce with China. On the markets, the Canadian dollar traded at 73.13 US cents, down about 0.4 of a US cent. West Texas Intermediate oil was at $68.01, up just over $1. Our latest fix on Western Canadian Select has it at $54.91, down 62 cents. And the TSX Composite ended at 27,020.28, and it was a decline of just under 16 points. That's the latest in business. I'm Andrew Bell of B&M Bloomberg.
There are noted vaccine skeptics among this group.
Well, coming up, a warning from health officials that misinformation is leading to a disease crisis.
You're watching CTV News with Patricia Boll.
A warning tonight about the rise in health misinformation, in particular from the United States. With the dramatic jump in measles, syphilis, and HIV cases in Canada, experts say accurate, reliable health information is urgently needed. CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan has the details.
Check them, sir.
I did not fact check.
You did not fact check. So then
this is the week U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is announcing the members of the vaccine panel at the Centers for Disease Control, something the Canadian Medical Association is watching carefully.
There are noted vaccine skeptics among this group who have echoed RFK Jr.'s ideas such as vitamins will prevent measles, such as that, chemical warfare or various other causes are responsible for the current measles outbreak, instead of the virus.
Dr. Shannon Charlebois says Kennedy and members of the panel will determine which vaccines will be funded in the U.S. The Canadian Medical Association says while medical misinformation has been around since the start of social media, the new U.S. administration is causing alarm for some Canadian health experts.
They've defunded the CDC by 40%, and that's quite significant. And what's more significant is where they have cut that funding from.
She points to things like sexual health clinics and the rise in cases of syphilis and HIV.
Not only do infectious diseases not respect geopolitical borders, but neither does mass media.
The article by the Canadian Medical Association says Canada cannot rely on its southern neighbour to monitor infectious diseases, and Charlebois says it's not just measles and syphilis.
Now we have avian flu, which is spread throughout the country in our domestic poultry. It's also crossed to cow herds in the U.S.
It has infected some humans working with the animals, but the fear is that if it mutates to spread from human to human, the effects will be devastating. The CMA is calling for a national vaccine registry as a first step to strengthening our own system and interoperable health records to allow for secure but easier access to health records between hospitals and between provinces.
And there is nothing sadder than a child dying of a completely preventable disease.
And on an individual level, Charlebois says, do question your doctor about anything you're unsure about. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Brown waits from the pocket, goes to the end zone. Who else? Of course, Gino raises the roof in his return.
Well, coming up, a recap of the Sunday nighter. Your Red Blacks into Edmonton to face the Elks last night. Jackie.
Well, Patricia, some good news on the weather front. The watches and warnings have lifted for the raining parts of eastern Ontario. The system really making its way towards Quebec as well as the southeastern part of the states. Now, taking a look at tomorrow, we are expecting some dry conditions, but the clouds are going to stick around, and it'll be quite some time before we see some sunny weather along our way. But here's a live look through our Centennial Glass Sky Cam. So the rain has lifted here in downtown Ottawa, and temperatures right now sitting at 19 degrees.
You're watching CTV News with Patricia Boll. Hairstyles, courtesy of Salon Fiorella.
Well, here's what's on CTV tonight. E-Talk, The Big Bang Theory, American Ninja Warrior, and The Rookie. And here's a recap of the top stories we are following right now.
It's just a big headache, and Homestead just doesn't seem to care.
Several vehicles at a West End apartment building have been damaged by a substance dripping from the parking garage ceiling.
The origin was determined to be the garage, but the cause is going to remain undetermined.
10 residents displaced, including a family, after a massive fire in the Glebe this weekend that spread to 4 neighboring homes.
force of that water was so insane. Nobody could get into it.
The desperate search for survivors in Texas continues tonight as the death toll from the devastating flash flooding continues to rise. Almost 100 people are now confirmed dead. We want to take a final look at the forecast after a day of rain. Jackie?
Yes, Patricia, the good news is a severe thunderstorm watch no longer in effect for the parts of eastern Ontario. And we may see a little bit of drizzle and light shower into the overnight, but tomorrow cloudy conditions to start our day, and the clouds sticking around for most of it, starting off at 17 degrees. And we are getting to a daytime high of 26. Wednesday and into Thursday, we could see some scattered showers periodically, with Friday being our nicest day with some sunshine and warmer weather going up to about 29 degrees. So we just got to hold on until Friday for the good weather to return here into the capital.
We need those lovely evenings as Blues Fest gets underway on Thursday, so hope for more of that good weather. We want to check in what our team is working on for 11:30 tonight, Steph.
Yeah, Patricia, we have some breaking news coming into our newsroom. Right now, we are looking into a situation that would have just happened over the last hour. First responders say a pedestrian was struck downtown during the evening rush hour, and the woman who was hit has been rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Paramedics say they got the call around 5:40 tonight. The scene is at a crosswalk at Elgin and Laurier. So far, we know the woman in her 20s was struck by a pickup truck. The road was closed for an investigation. No word just yet on or if any charges will be laid. So join us for the very latest tonight at 11:30, and we'll update our website, ctvnewsottawa.ca.
All right. Thank you, Steph. Finally for us, I'm guessing neither of you stayed up to watch the Red Blacks last night.
Does the highlights
say that
count?
I did.
High hopes for a better outcome going into this one with their starter finally in at quarterback.
Towering kick from Grace. 57-yard kick taken just inside the 15. Pimpleton, look at this burst right up the middle. Khalil Pimpleton.
Yeah, Drew Brown was in at quarterback. You don't see him here, but you do see Khalil Pimpleton working his magic, returning this all the way for a TD. They had some moments that were beautiful in this game, but in the end, another defeat. They fell 39-33 to the Elks in Edmonton last night. First victory for Edmonton. The Red Blacks back on the road again on Saturday. They'll face the Hamilton Ticats in Hamilton and then back here for a home game on July 20th. Need some wins, so
Yes,
let's hope they get this thing turned around.